Is this the world after death? Feeling the boundless darkness around him, Makina felt that he was about to become a stone without emotion and no thinking. The soul exists, but it seems that there is no in heaven. Everything disappears, only the darkness remains forever. It's really tormenting. Makina's parents died when he was very young, and he was raised by his grandfather. It is precisely because of this that his grandfather's character and way of doing things deeply influenced him. Grandpa is a lazy person. He often likes to make a pot of tea, lie down on the chaise longue, bask in the sun, and leisurely half a day has passed. Or take a fishing rod, sit by the lake, catch a fat fish and drink it. It doesn't matter if you don't catch it, people enjoy it anyway. In the words of my grandfather, the joy of fishing is not catching fish. Makina often ridicules Grandpa that this state is salted fish. But Grandpa didn't take it seriously, instead he laughed and told him the philosophy of contentment and happiness. He also often used the words of Laozi, Zhuangzi, Su Dongpo and other ancients to prevaricate him. What the old man said most often was what Dongpo said besides: between heaven and earth, each thing has its own owner. If it is not what I own, even if it is not mine, I will not take it. Only the clear wind on the river and the bright moon in the mountains, the ear can hear it as a sound, and the eye encounters it as a color, and can't help but take it. It is inexhaustible, it is the inexhaustible treasure of the Creator. Just brainwashing. Although Makina was disdainful, he was inevitably influenced. When the old man noticed something was wrong, Makina already had a very loud nickname in the village: Little Old Man. The grandson became a little old man. Where can he do it? Do young people still need to struggle? The old man came to his senses and planned to reverse Makina's lazy character. If there is something or nothing, he would instill in Wei something like for in everything: if you don't predict it will fail, never fight an unprepared battle, for the rest of your life grass and trees fall, geese leave marks, people pass by leaving a mark, and so on. But basically it's useless. The lazy character has been developed. Where does it mean that you can change it? However, Wei couldn't stand hearing the old man chanting scriptures in his ears all the time. Then, Wei reached an agreement with his grandfather: earn him 5 million first, and then let him play whatever he wants. After arriving in the city, Wei realized that he was completely crippled by his grandfather. 5 million is a small goal? Isn't this more difficult than let me pick 100 pictures every day? Half-year later, the old house left by my parents was demolished, and 1/3 of the small goal was achieved. With the startup capital, starting a business is much simpler. In the end, Makina aimed at the rental market and planned to be a leisurely charterer. After some hard work, the business was negotiated and the formalities were completed. A month later, Makina's newly purchased rental building is facing demolition. The small goal has been achieved several times. Not to mention others, even Wei was stunned. What kind of luck is this? Where can you describe a mere green smoke from ancestral graves? The old man is so angry, but he can't take Wei. Who told the two to make an agreement? The 2 demolitions made Wei a well-known local tyrant, and the matchmaker was almost breaking the threshold. Then, Grandpa started chanting mode again, clamoring to hug his grandson. Makina is speechless. This is too greedy. A blind date is a blind date, and Muye doesn't have much resistance in his heart. Then, there is no such thing. Perhaps his rich reputation was too loud, and the gangster broke in. Even if he handed over all the money in the card, it would not work, because it is rumored that his money is hundreds of times more than the money in the card. Then, Makina was stabbed. Several gangsters were frightened and fled, and one of them said sorry to him. He didn't mean it, he just wanted to scare him. It's better not to say it. Not to mention, he is not so embarrassed. Makina struggled to hit 120, but the town he lives in is beautiful, but it's too remote. The ambulance finally failed to arrive. As he was dying, for some unknown reason, Muye's mind was filled with his grandfather's teachings such as goose leaves leave marks, people pass over. At the last moment, Ma Qinao recorded his last words on his mobile phone: donate organs to those in need. Ma Qinao doesn't think he is great or noble, he just wants to leave something behind, wants to live in another way, that's all. Grandpa will be very happy when he finds out. At this moment, Ma Qinao suddenly saw traces of light coming from the darkness. Light, really light? He is going. I really have had enough of this endless silence and darkness. After an unknown amount of time, Ma Qinao slowly opened his eyes. The first thing that caught my eye was a beautiful and intellectual beauty with extremely delicate facial features, picturesque eyebrows, red lips, and white teeth. At the moment of seeing this beauty, Ma Qinao even had the urge to cry. It's been too long, he's been in that dark place for too long. As if she understood Muye's intentions, the beauty didn't say much, just helped him up and gave him a big hug. Ma Qinao instinctively stretched out his hand and tightly hugged the woman he met for the first time in front of him. There is no word that can describe Muye's mood at this time: moved, excited, joyful, cherished, relieved, grateful. Muye didn't know how long he had been hugging. He had no in his heart, but he was reluctant to let go. In the dark space, he was really trapped for too long, too long. The woman didn't urge him, she just kept comforting him. After half a day, Ma Qinao was a little confused. You mean, you are a god, and in order to repay your kindness, you planted me with the seeds of the world tree? The intellectual beauty nodded seriously, that's right. Ma Qinao is a little confused. Can people also plant it? Maybe. Didn't the goddess Nuwa fabricate people from earth? Inkiju and Mycokikyo are all clay bodies. If soil can do it, wood can do it too. Is he considered a true vegetative person? She doesn't doubt the goddess sister's status as a god, but it doesn't mean that Ma Qinao has no doubts. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. I'm sorry, I really can't remember when I helped you. Also, if you were a god, I shouldn't be able to help you. Remember the heart you donated on your deathbed? Ma Qinao nodded. With a shallow smile on her face, the goddess was gentle and beautiful. What is jumping in my chest now is the heart you donated. Clam? Ma Qinao was a little stunned. You are the word of God, do you still need my heart? The goddess's expression darkened. I made a big mistake and was banned from divine power. Also, I'm just a humble little god. All right. Ma Qinao didn't say anything, nor did he comfort him. Even if the gods are humble, they are still gods. Of course, this goddess sister didn't want to comfort Ma Qinao. She made a mirror at will. Look, this is what you look like now, are you satisfied? Seeing the appearance in the mirror, Muye was immediately stunned. Is this him? He could still vaguely see the outlines of his facial features, but the proportions of his facial features were obviously optimized. The bridge of his nose became taller, and his eyes became larger and more beautiful. Compared with before his death, his appearance has obviously become too immature. Before his death, he was a young man in his 20s, but now it looks like he is only 12 years old at most. The most important is this looks too handsome. The facial features are like being kissed by God, oh no, like being kissed by the goddess sister. What should I do if I look too handsome? When she thought of being chased by girls all day in the future, Muye felt a big headache. Troubled. In the vast universe, the heavens, and the myriad worlds, there are many races that can be called Protoss. And the name of the Protoss where the goddess sister belongs is Singer. The reason for this name is that the Singer Protoss once had a supreme divine tree that could sing the Song of Destiny. It is precisely for this reason that the members of the Singer Protoss like music very much. At work, everyone likes to sing ballads. Over time, the Protoss was called Singer by other Protoss. The Singer Protoss has two very humble occupations, the first is a cleaner, and the second is a tree planter. The work is heavy, the risks are high, and the pay is poor. The goddess sister looked at Mui apologetically, Xiao Mu, I'm sorry. You are my great benefactor, and I should have given you a better repayment. But my divine power has just recovered a little, and I can only use the method of planting trees. You are resuscitated. Xiaomu, you have suffered. Ma Qina shook his head, no matter what, it was the goddess sister who gave him a new life. Sister, please don't say that again. If it wasn't for you, I would have died completely by now. You saved me. Sister goddess shook her head, Xiao Mu, you don't understand what it means for me to save you by planting trees. Ma Qina was full of question marks. Does his body have any serious side effects? Although he is a vegetative person, Ma Qina has already tried it. This body is unexpectedly easy to use, and he does not feel any difference from the previous mortal body. There is even a victory. The goddess elder sister said sadly, Xiao Mu, elder sister is only a humble tree planter in the Protoss. And you, who was saved by me by planting trees, can only do this humble job like elder sister. You are treated like elder sister. That's bad enough, but brother, you can only be considered an extra staff temporary worker at most. The humble tree planter, the cleaner, and he is even more humble, not to mention the temporary workers, and the extras. Well, Ma Qina really felt the pressure. What is the treatment of temporary workers, can Ma Qina not know? Not to mention doing the dirtiest and most tiring work, the treatment is not comparable to that of regular workers, and if not, they will be thrown out and whipped and blamed. However, at this time, of course, you can't be discouraged, you must know that he is a man. A hearty smile appeared on Mui's face, sister, just relax. Do you know what my nickname is? Little old man. I'm used to being lazy. If you suddenly give me a high-level job, I'll definitely screw you up. Hearing Ma Qina's nickname, the goddess sister smiled. Seeing the smile of the goddess sister, Ma Qina suddenly became a little crazy, and her heart was filled with happiness and joy. Mui held his head high, patted his chest and assured, Sister, please relax. My grandfather taught me to be content and happy since I was a child. Even if I am a temporary worker, I can live a dashing and unrestrained life. The goddess nodded lightly, Xiao Mu is really gentle, she will definitely please girls in the future. Forward. Ma Qina blushed a little, feeling like he was being seen through. Xiao Mu, although you are a non-staff, you still have work to do. Now close your eyes and start to concentrate. Okay. Ma Qina immediately closed his eyes and concentrated. The next second, Mui was stunned to discover that he had come to a desolate desert, where he could not see the end. The whole world is full of yellow sand, and there is no life in sight. Even if it is the only remaining big tree, it is still a dead tree that has been dead for many years, and the bark has been peeled off by the rolling yellow sand. The only difference is a small wooden house next to the big tree. As soon as she stepped into the cabin, Mui felt that the scene in front of him had changed, as if he had come to a new world. It doesn't look very big from the outside, but inside it looks like a big villa. Bedroom, hall, gym, kitchen, swimming pool have everything. Ma Qina was stunned, didn't he say that temporary workers were treated poorly? Does this even come with a villa? That should be hard work. For the same summer job, the treatment in China and Syria is completely different. Thinking of this, Ma Qina couldn't help swallowing. Known as the little old man, he is really not suitable for high-intensity work. However, the goddess sister saved his life, how could he not know what to do? Inside the cabin, the core place is the studio. This place, the style of painting is completely different from the leisure area outside. As soon as he stepped in, Ma Qina was attracted by the nightfall on the ceiling of the studio. The zenith is very beautiful, and you can see stars like jewels. However, these stars may be very far away, and the light is relatively dim. At this moment, an electronically synthesized female voice sounded in the studio. "Master, you are welcome." Wei wondered, "Master? Am I just a temporary worker?" "That's right. Master, although you are only a temporary worker, this courtyard also belongs to you, and the regular worker owns a divine city." Poke. Makina felt like he had been stabbed in the heart. Without comparison, there would be no harm. Then what is my job? Planting trees. Master, you are really wise. Makina. Do you want to plant trees in the desert outside? Yes, I am honored to serve a wise master like you. This flatterer. AI is flattering, it seems that this work is really hard. Makina has a big head. How to plant trees? Everything is linked to energy. When you have enough energy, Master, you can use the trading system that comes with the courtyard to exchange for tree species. After planting the tree species, continue to water the energy droplets and the tree will grow. And Master, you can also get corresponding improvement from the growth of trees. What's going on with this strong certain treasure wind? Thinking of the energy needed for planting trees in the ant forest, and thinking about the vast desert outside the courtyard, Wei suddenly felt some liver pain. No wonder the goddess sister said that the work was hard work. Is he going to change from a salted fish to a hard-working little bee? Absolutely can't increase the psychological burden on the Savior's goddess sister. A real man must dare to face the bleak life. Didn't the system assistant say it all? He can also get improvement from the growth of trees. With his growth, the efficiency of energy acquisition will definitely be improved. How much energy does it take to plant the cheapest tree? The cheapest tree is the small-scale tree, which requires 10 million energy points. 10 million? Wei staggered. He was too difficult. Cry, 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 it's not a sin, no matter how strong people are, they have the right to get tired. Farewell, my leisure time. What is the method of obtaining energy? The courtyard has its own set of evaluation criteria, and if it meets the energy extraction conditions, the courtyard system will absorb it by itself. Makina. Isn't this sentence Chikuakuo telling him that all the right to interpret the way of obtaining energy belongs to the system? As for the integrity of the system, just think about the Black Heart boss. 996 is a kind of good news. Wolf culture employees eat grass, the highest prize in the annual meeting lottery, knockout card, Wang skin, I have 100 pictures every day for me to choose. He has always been salted fish, it's too difficult. Although his mentality is a bit broken, Makina's ability to adapt is still good. No matter what, if you are alive, you will be able to see more wonderful things. Strictly speaking, he still earns. Although he is a humble tree planter and a temporary worker, he is also a tree planter of the Singer Protoss. Even a cleaner has a chain of contempt, doesn't it? Can a heavenly court cleaner be the same as an ordinary cleaner? Makina comforted himself. When he came out of the courtyard, Wei was in a trance, extremely incredible. He thought it was his consciousness that entered the courtyard, but now it seems that both his consciousness and his body entered the courtyard. However, thinking about it is also true. After all, if you want to travel through all worlds to collect energy, just entering the consciousness will not make much sense. Seeing the slightly sad face of the goddess sister, Makina smiled, "Sister, the situation is much better than I thought, you can rest assured. The profession of planting trees is very suitable for retirement, I like it." Hearing the word elderly care, the goddess smiled. At this moment, the silver bracelet on the goddess' wrist suddenly shone. The goddess's expression changed slightly, and Makina caught it immediately. "Sister, what happened?" The goddess had a solemn expression and said regretfully, "I originally wanted to stay with Xiaomo for a while, but now it doesn't seem possible." To be able to make a show a solemn expression, it must be that something really happened. Wei urged, "The big thing is important, then elder sister, you should do your job first." The goddess nodded helplessly, thought about it, and took off a necklace from her neck. Xiao Mu, this necklace contains a seed of the supreme divine tree. My grandmother got it by chance and passed it down from generation to generation. Now, I'll give it to you. Grandma got it by chance and passed it down from generation to generation. How precious is this? How could Makino receive such a precious thing? But before Makino refused, the goddess sister put the necklace on him. Don't be too busy to refuse. This tree species is precious if you say it is precious, and it is not precious at all if you say it is not precious. For my sister, the commemorative significance is greater than the actual significance. When my mother passed it on to me, I was also very proud and felt that I could let the seeds sprout. But it turned out that I was thinking too much. Listening to the words of the goddess sister, and feeling the temperature from the necklace, Mu Ye felt warm in his heart. Seeing Mu Ye's cherished appearance, the goddess sister nodded in relief. Maybe, Xiaomu, you can create a miracle and make the divine tree germinate. Makina's expression was serious. Since my sister trusts me so much, I must work hard to make the tree seed germinate. The goddess smiled. Okay, then maybe my sister and I will rely on you, brother. Makina's expression changed. He has captured the key information. As long as the tree seeds sprout, he might turn around. In this way, this tree species is definitely not memorial significance is greater than practical significance, and it is no wonder that it can be regarded as a family heirloom. Muye, don't worry, elder sister, I will go to elder sister when the tree seeds germinate. I will definitely give elder sister a better priesthood then. The goddess smiled and said, okay, then I'll be waiting for your arrival, brother. Makina stretched out his hand and made a naive gesture of pulling the hook. The goddess was stunned for a moment, and then she burst into laughter. Then the little finger hooked up with Makina's little finger. Agreed. Agreed. The goddess looked at the flickering silver bracelet and said, time is running out, my sister will make a long story short. Xiaomu, our duty as tree planters is to travel through the heavens and the world to collect energy to plant trees. However, the source power of the universe is limited. My elder sister collects it in the vast universe, then my younger brother, you can only change the field. Makina, change the field. Goddess, that's right. If we both collect energy in the same field, the possibility of conflict is very high. So, my sister has arranged it for you. Did you see the starry sky in the studio? Makina nodded. That's the star map of the dimensional world, which can guide you through the dimensional world without getting lost. Makina was moved, but he didn't expect the goddess sister to think so much for him. He will definitely try his best to find a way to make the tree seed germinate. Correct. When it was time to part, he didn't seem to know the name of the goddess sister. Muye, sister, what's your name? Name. The goddess was stunned for a moment, then she smiled and said, I don't have a name in the sense of the earth, but there is a number. Makina was stunned. Number. It's natural to get used to it, but the goddess doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Name, it should be said that it is a title, only the main has it in the protos. With my status. Makina didn't know what to say. I knew that the tree planter was humble, but he was so humble that he only had a serial number and didn't even have a name. This one is too humble, isn't it? A light flashed in Muye's mind, and he said excitedly, I will name my sister. What do you think, sister? The goddess was startled for a moment, then smiled like a flower. Okay. Muye pondered for a while, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Qing Yao, how about calling it Qing Yao? Qing Tian's Qing, Song Yao's Yao. A song as beautiful as the blue sky? It's a very nice name, then I'll be called Qinjiao in the future. Seeing that the goddess sister happily accepted the name he took, Muye was immediately wrapped in joy. Qing Yao's bracelet flickered more and more frequently, and Makina knew that the two had to part ways. It's just that after this goodbye, I don't know how many years it will be until we meet again. Mu Ye was inevitably a little disappointed in his heart. Qinjiao, Xiaomu, after your accident, Grandpa also fell ill. In order to cure his heart disease, I tried my best to arrest all the criminals, but unfortunately Grandpa still couldn't let go. In the end, I erased his memory of you. Grandpa lived peacefully in his later years. After waking up, Mui wanted to ask about his grandfather many times, but he never dared to ask. In that dark place, he really stayed for too long, and he didn't know what the reality was like. Grandpa, Ma Qina felt a burst of angina. Ma Qina didn't cry. Because he is the eldest grandson, because he doesn't want to make Sister Qinjiao sad again. Mui said gratefully, if there is no memory of my death, and with Grandpa's temperament of taking things as they come, he will certainly be able to live very casually. Sister Qinjiao, thank you. Ma Qina didn't talk nonsense, the old man really enjoyed it. When the sun is good and the sun is comfortable, he will be very happy. When he catches fish and drinks with friends, he will be very happy. When it rains, the scenery after the rain is beautiful, and the old man will still be very happy. If it's not good, he will shake his head and say a few words of Tao Yuan Ming, and recite a few words of Dongpo. Therefore, Qing Yao said that the old man lived peacefully in his later years, and he did not doubt it at all. Ma Qina's performance made Qinjiao's heart fall with a big rock, and her whole body became more and more relaxed. Xiao Mu, you are so gentle. Sister, let me give you one last piece of advice, because your body was grown from the tree of the world tree, so it will have all the characteristics of trees. This may be a weakness, but it is also it may be an advantage. Xiaomu, you can explore it slowly. Have the unique characteristics of trees? Possibly a weakness, but most likely an advantage? Mui was immediately stunned. At this moment, everything around Ma Qina changed completely. The beautiful garden villa just now disappeared, replaced by an endless starry sky. However, before Ma Qina had time to look at it, his body was automatically pulled into the courtyard. At the same time, the voice of the system AI in the courtyard also rang. The tree planting system is activated, and the world search begins. The vast universe, the heavens, and the worlds, and the parallel universes are countless. What Ma Qina didn't know was that in a certain parallel universe, a humble cleaner started another day's daily work. Find rubbish, hide yourself, and clean it up. This process, which he is already familiar with, can no longer be familiar. After finding some dead spots that were not cleaned properly, the cleaners applied to the elders for another weapon Tuowei foil. The moment the force field that wrapped the Tuowei foil disappeared, the dimensionality reduction attack began, and everything around the Tuowei foil was flattened and compressed into a lifeless painting. A few hours later, even the sun was not spared, and was compressed and flattened into the picture. And this is just the daily routine of the humble cleaner. Exactly. His work is very, very humble. Like the tree planter, he is at the bottom of the Protoss. The risks are high, the treatment is poor, and there is little rest. It's too humble. The Garden of God. The standard configuration of the temporary workers of the Singer Protoss species is quite different from the treatment of a full-time worker in a divine city. So, temporary workers have no human rights. Studio. Ma Qina, system, as a novice, don't I have a novice gift pack? Have. Ma Qina was delighted, he just asked casually, but he didn't expect it to be there. What's in the novice gift pack? 3 blank small skill tree species, plus 100,000 energy. So rich. Ma Qina was completely stunned. Standard configuration for temporary workers only. Well, he is so rare. Ma Qina, what's the standard for novice regular employees? The system did not answer immediately, but remained silent for a while. Master, do you really want to know? Ma Qina understood, the gap must be so big that he might lose his mentality. Taking a step back, the more you think about it, the more angry you become, and the more you think about it for a while, the more you lose. Well, Machina has the urge to beat the wall. Let's work hard and try to get regular as soon as possible. Temporary workers have no human rights. What is the blank tree species? The benefits specially distributed to newbies can be converted into the most suitable tree species according to the needs of the work. Is this okay? Even temporary workers, can they enjoy the benefits of a big company? Any suggestions on the selection of starting tree species? According to a lot of summed-up experience, the first choice among the 3 blank tree species is the language tree belonging to the wisdom tree. Being proficient in language enables the owner to better integrate into the dimensional world. That makes sense. Go on. Yes. The second tree species is best set as the physical tree that belongs to the tree of life. Technology side, mysterious side, no matter what kind of world, good physique will not suffer. That's right. What about the third tree species? The third tree species, it is best to set it according to the needs of the mission world. Machina nodded, these suggestions are indeed pertinent. At this moment, a star on the zenith suddenly lit up. Master, found the target world, which was retrieved as the world of One Piece. Since it is the first time that the Master has crossed the mission world, you will be automatically sent to the One Piece World Novice Village. Are you locked in One Piece's world? The Novice Village of One Piece World? Machina was stunned for a moment, but he didn't expect that one day he would be able to enter the world of pirates. As a migrant manga that has been serialized for more than 20 years, it is impossible for him not to know about One Piece. Although it can't be called fanaticism, it can also be called himai. Devil fruit, 6 types of navy, domineering, are all familiar things. However, in One Piece's novice village, there are really many. Luffy's Windmill Village, Zoro's Frost Moon Village, Nami's Orange Town, Usopp's Shirobia Village. Not to mention Nami and Sanji, they are basically the history of suffering, like soaking in the water of berberine. Luffy was the happiest teenager, but he was basically in a sheep-herding state. Although he had occasional special training from his grandfather, Lu Bao was basically self-taught. Only Zoro's novice village is truly the best. Life is basically worry-free, and there are top famous teachers to guide. I don't know how much higher the starting point is than the other protagonists. Chaos Hero can be said to be one of the most mysterious bosses in the One Piece world. The knife that he casually gave to his daughter was the 21st worker of the Big Fast Knife. He taught him a few words, so that it took many years for Zoro to truly understand its deep meaning, and because of this, he realized the Ryujo Lion Elegy, the one knife that cuts through steel. In the latest Wano Country chapter, his identity is really revealed. A samurai from Wano Country, a famous blacksmith, and Hideichi and Yan Mo are all forged by him. It is conceivable how deep Chaos Hero hides, as expected of the squinting eyes known as a monster. If you can get his teaching. Perceiving the master's strong wish, you will be teleported to Frost Moon Village in the East China Sea. Is this okay? Machina feels that his 3 views have been refreshed again. Apart from the poor salary, the work of temporary workers is not as hard as he imagined. Illusion, this must be an illusion. This is like a driving school. Before paying the money, you are the uncle. After paying the money, the coach is the uncle. The more friendly the system behaves, the more vigilant it is. System, help me to set the 3 tree species into language tree, physical tree, and kendo tree respectively. The language is improved to the level that can communicate normally, and the remaining energy is first allocated to the physical tree. The kendo tree depends on the energy, and the energy is enough. Planting, if the energy is not enough, put it on hold first. Yes. In an instant, Mue had 3 more tree species in his hands. Under the guidance of the system, Machina quickly planted 3 trees in the yellow sand closest to the cabin. With a lot of energy droplets poured into it, soon, the language tree began to take root and sprout. Japanese has been learned, the current level is LV1. Waterable energy droplets promote the growth of the language tree. Do you choose to water energy droplets? Yes. Under the irrigation of a large number of energy droplets, the language tree species, which had just taken root and sprouted, grew rapidly, almost as fast as Makina could see with the naked eye. And Makina's Japanese mastery level has also changed from knowing some simple vocabulary to a large and rich vocabulary, and is proficient in spoken English. Feeling all this, Mui was a little stunned. It really is to plant a tree, and he has mastered the corresponding skills. This is too miraculous, isn't it? Speaking of which, what can he get from the working singer Protoss? Like taxation, potentially extracting his residual value? The more Makina thought about it, the more he thought it was possible. But at this time, although he still had doubts about the job of planting trees, his anticipation grew wildly. Salted fish does not mean laziness, salted fish is an attitude towards life. There's nothing wrong with exchanging work for what you want. What's more, this is an extraordinary opportunity. Muyi's heart couldn't help but heat up. Detecting the host's love for work, rewarding the host with 10,000 energy points. Makina was stunned. Is this also possible? This is really a surprise. I love work, work makes me happy, a day without work makes me feel uncomfortable, I am addicted to work and lose weight day by day. Under the continuous watering of energy water droplets, the small language tree the size of a small sapling has grown to the height of a person. Skill, Japanese. Level, LV3. Level, skilled. Levels include beginner, proficient, specialist, master, grandmaster, enlightened. I have to say, this is really amazing. When the level of Japanese has reached proficiency, Makina even has the level of learning Japanese for many years. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. It's really amazing. Makina's eyes were shining, he wanted to plant trees, many, many trees. From today onwards, he is a tree planter and environmental guardian. However, it just consumes too much energy. He planted the small language tree to the level of one person, and he actually consumed nearly 60,000 energy droplets. I have to say that this consumption is really scary. Think about the difficulty of accumulating energy in a treasure ant forest. No wonder Sister Kinjao said she was humble. If you want to plant a towering tree, the difficulty must be epic. However, Makina's eyes gradually became firmer. He has developed a lazy temperament since he was a child, which is true, but the environment creates life, and experiences affect his character. No one knows the mental journey of over an hour after he was broken into by the gangster. Fear, despair, helplessness, regret, self-pity. He will never experience this kind of experience a second time. If you want to be a good salted fish, you also need capital. Otherwise, others may treat you as a dish. After raising the Japanese skill tree to the height of one person, Makina stopped watering, but poured energy drops onto the physique tree. Soon, this physique tree also grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, and Makina also clearly felt the enhancement of his physique. After 50,000 droplets of energy were irrigated, the seeds representing the physique tree also successfully sprouted and broke the ground. It can be seen from here that the improvement of physical fitness is much more difficult than the improvement of language. Physical, LV1. Level, weak. Weak, ordinary, extraordinary, steel, holy, indestructible. Although it is a temporary worker, this tree planting system can be regarded as Makina's golden finger. Even if the energy collection is slower and more difficult, Mui is not in a hurry. After all, he has lived a lifetime and has experienced life and death disasters. His mentality is not comparable to that of ordinary people. What's more, this tree planting system has another advantage, that is, as long as enough energy is collected, the enhancement is visible to the naked eye. This is an absolutely incomparable advantage for ordinary people. Many people are not unable to endure hardships, nor are they unwilling to work hard, but they cannot see growth and results despite their efforts. It's like losing weight, making great decisions, dieting and running. After 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of hard work, the result was a weighing, the weight did not decrease but increased. It must be because of too many clothes and too heavy shoes. Forget it today, take a day off, and start losing weight tomorrow. Because there is no effect, then slack off, because of slack, then give up. And this is not a problem for Mui, any of his efforts will be reflected in the energy immediately. Makina's eyes are sharp, this time, he must put in 300% of his efforts and never repeat the same mistakes. The pirate world is his first mission world, and it is the key to primitive accumulation, and he must not slack off. After all, he doesn't have any slack. He didn't enter the pirate world for salted fish. What's more, the world of pirates is quite dangerous, even a novice village must not relax. Even if it's a little guy, his physique can't be judged by common sense. When watching pirates, I often find this picture slashed with a knife, blood splattered, and after a bandage was applied, the person jumped alive again. 100 days of broken bones, this is completely non-existent in the world of pirates. Oda, return to life is a passive skill for all characters, except for the traversers. X, don't ask if you don't see it. Asking is a foreshadowing. Manually funny, as for the Straw Hats and well-known figures, they are even more powerful and perverted. When Doflamingo was 8 years old, he awakened to his overlordship and began to conquer the world. When Guyuna was 9 years old, she was able to win the adult training in the dojo who had practiced swords for many years. When Ace was 10 years old, he awakened the overlord, almost toppling the entire Brugum pirates. Big Mom won't say it, this is not a human at all. At the age of 10, even an adult giant can be seconds. Be careful sailing a 1,000-year-old ship, you can never go wrong with a little caution. In this regard, Makina only serves Goblin Slayer and Cautious Brave. In addition, Makina will not forget that he and Sister Kinjao still have a promise. Perceiving the tree planter's strong will to become stronger, he will reward him with 10,000 energy. The cute Loli, the hot-blooded teenager, is indomitable to break the dimensional wall. Boy, fighting! Makina suddenly calmed down. When did the dog system become so generous? Isn't it like shouting a few slogans before going to work, and the boss will directly reward you with 10,000 yuan? Watch out! Be vigilant! Must not be eroded by the sugar-coated shells of capitalism. Mui reminded himself in his heart that he should never use his own life and property to safely test the conscience of a businessman. Free is always the most expensive. The system must be planning to let him see the happiness of Krypton gold first, completely disintegrate his will to struggle, and then deceive Krypton. The smart Makina has already seen through everything. Detecting that there are no humans around, do you choose to come? Yes. Without any hesitation, Makina chose to confirm. When Makina came back to his senses again, he had already appeared on a beach that fascinated people. The spring day is warm and the breeze is breezy, and the seagulls will hear ao and ao from time to time. The sea washed gently on the beach, and then slowly receded, leaving behind damp traces and some small aquatic creatures. Everything is alive. Makina took a deep breath. The air was wet and salty, very comfortable and comfortable. Undoubtedly, this is a beautiful and real world. Hello world! Makina couldn't help feeling a little emotional. At this moment, a series of system prompts sounded in Makina's mind. You breathe the first breath of fresh air in the pirate world, and you will be rewarded with 10 energy points. The cool wind you blow into the world of pirates will reward you with 10 energy points. You will be rewarded with 10 energy points when you bask in the sun in the pirate world. You appreciate the majestic waves of the sea in the pirate world, and you will be rewarded with 10 energy points. You hear the sound of seagulls, reward 10 energy points. Machina. What the is this situation? Machina was completely stunned. Is there a bug in the system? No, shouldn't he be titled? Master, please rest assured, everything in the system is normal. Machina. Normal? How can this energy growth method not be normal? Master, all of this is just standard for temporary workers, everyone knows it. Machina. What is this feeling of being despised by the system? Breathing, basking in the sun, and listening to the sound of seagulls can become stronger? Conspiracy, this must be a conspiracy. Where in the world can there be such a good thing for nothing? Machina has never forgotten his identity, a temporary worker. This is to make him take the blame? The tree planter is content and always happy, with a very questioning spirit, and he will be rewarded with 10,000 energy points. Machina. Isn't it okay, it's just a small temporary worker? Why does energy growth seem to be on the hook? Could it be that some thugs want to harm me? The tree planter has serious psychological trauma. To express comfort, he will be rewarded with 10,000 energy points. Young man, the sad past is not your fault, you must know how to turn grief and anger into strength, and live bravely and strong. Daddy. Machina. In this short period of time, he has accumulated 30,050 energy points. This is absolutely abnormal. As a temporary worker who can't make any mistakes, Machina is very conscious. System. Master, please order. Machina said seriously, please report this situation to customer service, I can't take advantage of the public. System. Master, there is no problem with the energy metering method in the courtyard, which is really standard for temporary workers. With a straight face, Mue insisted, Grandpa taught me that I don't own anything, even if I don't have it. System, reported to the customer service. Inner OS, want to plot against me? There is no door. Master, this is really no problem. Machina, let's report. System. As ordered. 10 minutes later. Master, I have reported your situation to the customer service, and the reply from the customer service has been approved. Machina's eyes lit up, so fast? The efficiency of customer service is really high. Customer service, hello sir, all your information has been verified to be true. I am the Deputy Director of the Singer Protoss Poverty Alleviation Bureau. It is really hard to imagine that there are people like you in the Protoss who live in poverty and have a noble temperament. I'm sorry, all of this is because our Poverty Alleviation Agency failed to do a good job. In recent years, the work of the Poverty Alleviation Agency has made remarkable achievements, but it is an indisputable fact that the gap between East and West and between urban and rural areas is growing. Because the area where you live is too remote, it is difficult for the poverty alleviation materials to arrive at the first time. I am sorry. However, knowledge changes fate, and the new dream plan of the Poverty Alleviation Agency will officially benefit you, Mr. Machina was stunned. Poverty Alleviation Agency, new dream plan? Hello Master, the first batch of subsidies from the Poverty Alleviation Agency has been received, please check. Machina's mouth twitched. At this moment, a picture with a strong sense of sight suddenly appeared in his mind. Little A, how is Little B's harvest this year? Little B is full of self-confidence, not bad. UU reading www.uuganshu.com has a good performance, and the dividends are also very generous. Every month, the monthly income exceeds 10,000. Little A is surprised. Does the monthly income break 10,000? Little B is proud, it's all right. Little A is incredible, how did you survive? Why did he become a target of poverty alleviation? Confirm the check. Yes. At the moment of confirming the check, Mue heard a Mandarin saying knowledge changes destiny, learning changes life, caring for disadvantaged groups. As long as we all give a little love, the world will become a beautiful world. Machina. Congratulations, Master, you have obtained the additional skill concentration subsidized by the new Dream program, and your efficiency in reading, studying and working will be greatly improved in the future. Disability and disease are a major source of poverty, and New Dream is committed to poverty alleviation from the source. Specially sponsored a set of writing defense techniques for Knife Enchantress, one tree species that can provide hidden world divine power, enough for the hidden world tree species to grow into a complete body, each with the energy that can convert ordinary knives into imperial knives pot. Skill description: this skill uses the royal sword as a medium to temporarily convert the body into an energy body. When relying on writing defense, it can divert physical damage at the cost of weak pain and mental fatigue. Once damaged, parts of it will disappear and bodily functions will be taken away. However, the damage to the entity is invalid until the right is cancelled. Remarks: the Imperial Sword is a sword made of the divine metal jade steel, which can be converted into energy. Machina. Get rich once, get rich once. But why is this feeling so subtle? After receiving the two skills, Machina suddenly felt that there was something in his mind, as if he was born with it. Concentration. I won't say it, it's literally. But this does not mean that this skill is not of high value. On the contrary, the value of this skill is simply too great to measure. I don't know how many people are so focused on it. Anyone who has gone to school knows how important it is to concentrate, let alone concentrate. As for the skill writing, it is equivalent to giving Machina a digital body in disguise. Because, writing is at the cost of consuming mental power. As long as the spirit is strong enough, writing can be turned on repeatedly. This makes Machina almost uninjured, and has the capital to exchange lives with the enemy. It is precisely because of this that Mue has a slight understanding of the power of the singer Protoss, but he is still like a blind man touching an elephant. It's like living in a global village. Africans will never understand the social welfare of developed countries like Sweden. The sacred tree hidden world has complete species and energy, do you choose to plant it? Mue looked around and wondered, now? Although there is no one around, it's better to be cautious. I don't want to develop bad habits. Please rest assured, Master, the key to planting trees is tree species and energy, rather than doing things that are unnecessary. Just tell me, as an assistant, I can help the Master to complete the whole process of planting and watering. All right. Yes. Machina gave an order in his spirit, and soon the tree species named Hidden World was buried in the rolling yellow sand. With the continuous watering of exclusive energy, the hidden world of the divine tree broke through the ground and sprouted, and soon grew from a tender bud into a small sapling, a small tree, and a 10-meter-high tree. And this is just the beginning. A pot of energy is far beyond Machina's imagination. The trunk was continuously raised, the branches branched and extended continuously, and later, Machina even began to become a little numb. After the pot of energy was poured, the divine tree named Hidden World had grown to a height of hundreds of meters, and several people could hug each other. At the moment when it completely grew into a towering tree, Machina's feelings began to change completely. About 100 meters of yellow sand around the sacred tree Hidden World disappeared, was completely solidified, and turned into fertile soil. Threads and strands of special energy diffused from the divine tree. This energy was invisible to the naked eye, but Machina could still clearly perceive it. Energy dissipation is a continuous process. I believe that the hidden energy of the entire courtyard world will become full in a short time. System: why does the hidden world of the divine tree dissipate energy? Master, the divine tree hidden world is a kind of energy tree. Before the height of 100 meters is the growth period, and it needs continuous watering of energy. After the height of 100 meters, it is a mature body, which has the effect of absorbing energy and transforming energy. The hidden energy that the master needs to consume when using the skill right is provided by the hidden tree. All right. He was a country bumpkin. He was once again shocked by the methods of the singer Protoss. He has to work harder, otherwise he will really become a beggar. Admitting backwardness and weakness is not a shameful thing, arrogance is. Go to Yuxin Dojo. Makina made up his mind, and immediately started to walk in the direction of Yuxin Taoist Temple. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You take the first step in your studies, and you are rewarded with 1,000 energy points. You can't go 1,000 miles without accumulating a few steps. You have taken the second step of learning art, and you will be rewarded with 100 energy points. The road is long, and you will search up and down. You have taken the third step of learning art, and you will be rewarded with 10 energy points. The chaotic flowers gradually become attractive. You successfully resisted a small temptation on the way of cultivation, and you will be rewarded with 10 energy points. Those who have the will, things will come true. If you successfully take 100 steps, you will be rewarded with 1,000 energy points. Hearing the sound of gaining energy in his ears, Makina felt a little broken. Is it so easy to obtain energy? Then before he entered the world of pirates, why did he do so much psychological preparation and puff himself up so much? Makina took a deep breath and planned to discuss it with the system. Don't report this little bit of energy. He sounds upset. You are a little tired from walking, take a deep breath, plan to continue persevering, and reward 100 energy points. Makina was stunned. I'm not, don't talk nonsense. However, as the owner of the system, how could his mind be so easily guessed by the system? System. Yes, Master, what are your orders? In the future, if the energy is less than 10,000 points, don't report it again. Yes. Choice determines fate, and pattern determines the future. Your vision has been greatly improved, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 energy points. Makina. Swipe. Close. Swipe. Close. Haha. Haha. As soon as she approached the dojo, Mue heard a shout. Listening to the voice, it should be the teaching and guiding the students to do the exercises. However, the door to the outer courtyard of the dojo was closed, and Makina could not see the specific situation inside the dojo. Knock knock knock. Makina knocked on the door, and soon, the door opened. To Makina's surprise, it was Gina who opened the door, the daughter of Chao's hero, the master of the dojo, and Zoro's childhood sweetheart. On Gina's forehead, she could even see crystal beads of sweat. She must have just experienced hard training. When Makina looked at Gina, Gina also looked at Makina. Gina was instantly surprised. It's true that Makina looks so good looking, completely different from the filthy little kid in the dojo. You are. Makina showed a smile. I heard people say that Yuxin Dojo is the most powerful dojo nearby, and I want to go to the dojo to learn kendo. Hearing Makina's words, Gina suddenly smiled. She raised her smile that had not yet begun to develop, and said proudly, it's right to come to our dojo to learn kendo. Father is an invincible swordsman who has beaten Kojima. Come with me. Under the leadership of Gina, the two passed through the entrance and entered the inner courtyard. In the courtyard, a teacher in uniform can be seen, teaching the students to do sword-swinging exercises according to the rhythm. The little brats are also wearing uniforms and practicing disciplinedly. However, is this beauty worth it? Makina suddenly felt like he was going to spray. The students standing in two columns were uneven in height, short, fat and thin. It is no exaggeration to describe them as crooked melons and cracked dates. The first one on the right-hand side of the first row, wearing thick glasses at the bottom of the wine bottle, the glasses were completely covered, as if the glasses at the bottom of the wine bottle were the body. The first in the second row was a little boy with a bald head. The snot dripped down and almost all flowed into his mouth. He sucked it in, then it came down again, and then sucked back again. Makina couldn't help sweating. No wonder Gina liked Zoro. It's all set off by the same door. Lobby. Under the leadership of Gina, Makina successfully met the owner of the One-Shin Sword Pavilion, Chaos Hero, with squinting eyes wearing round-rimmed glasses. Makina immediately bowed to Chaos Hero, and said politely, "I've heard people say that Yuxin Dojo is the most powerful dojo nearby. Master, please accept me as your apprentice, and I will help you to carry forward Yuxin Dojo." Gina was stunned. The few teachers kneeling around were also stunned. Chaos Hero was also amused and smiled, "Haha, alright, then let's study at the dojo." It worked. Muye was excited. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com did not expect it to go so smoothly. Makina, Master, I have nowhere to go now, can you let me live in the dojo? I'm willing to use labor to pay for food, lodging, and tuition. Guyuna's beautiful big eyes widened. It's just that there is no tuition fee, and it's too shameless to even want the dojo to provide room and board. Chaos Hero still smiled, "Yes. Have you ever been in kendo before?" "No. I'm a beginner." Chaos Hero nodded, "If that's the case, then you should learn some basics of kendo with Gina first." "Yes. Of course, Makina has no objection to Koshiro's arrangement. Despite her young age, Gina is still very powerful." Muye bowed to Gina, "Senior sister Gina, please." Gina was originally annoyed, but when she saw Muye who bowed to her, she was a little stunned. Because she has seen this kind of thing a lot. Chaos Hero basically never refuses children who come to study around him, and most of those children who have no foundation let her teach for a while. But the first reaction of those little brats was basically, "Let her teach me." Gina is very annoyed by this. Muye was the first child who bowed to her and asked her to teach her seriously. At this moment, the sound of the system sounded in Makina's ears. "Congratulations, you successfully entered the Yuxin Dojo and gained 10,000 energy points. Congratulations, your polite act has successfully won the favor of Gina and the dojo teacher, and gained 10,000 energy points." Practice field. Seeing Makina in a dojo uniform, Gina's beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. She never thought the uniform of the dojo looked so good looking. However, the surprise disappeared in a flash. In the dojo, light looks good, but it won't win respect, at least not Gina. She is not the kind of person who judges people by their appearance. Then, Gina took another look. "Senior sister, please give me more advice." Gina was cramped, she hurriedly turned her face away, imitating Koshiro's appearance, and took the air of a master. "Humph, it's too early to call me senior sister. If you want to become a swordsman, you can't do it without the awareness to endure hardship." Makina, "No problem." Gina didn't say much, picked up a bamboo knife, and said coolly, "Well, I'll start teaching you Suhen practice first." "Yes." Makina followed suit and picked up a bamboo knife. "Gina, no. You don't hold the knife like this. You are really a complete novice. Knowing is knowing, not knowing is not knowing, Muye has nothing to be embarrassed about. Look at the way I hold the knife." Gina gave a demonstration, and Makina followed suit. But Gina was still dissatisfied, and corrected Makina's knife-holding posture with her hands. The index finger and thumb of both hands form a V shape, the right hand holds the position where the index finger can touch the tan, the left hand wraps the end of the handle, and the grip strength of both hands should be concentrated on the little finger, the ring finger and the middle finger. To be honest, holding the knife like this feels awkward. There is also a real grip, a virtual grip, etc. It feels completely anti-human. Gina, as a past person, how could she not understand Makina's thoughts? This way of holding the knife may make the novice feel awkward, but it can maximize the advantages of the knife and achieve the best between strength and speed. Gina explained in detail why it was necessary to hold the knife in this way, and the benefits of holding the knife in this way. It's surprisingly cool. After understanding the benefits of holding the knife in this way, the repulsion in Mu Yi's heart disappeared. Then, under Gina's guidance, I started Sojin practice. The so-called Sohen, to put it simply, is the practice of swinging the sword. In Japanese swordsmanship, no matter which school it is, Sohen is regarded as the foundation of the foundation. It is probably about raising the sword over the top of the head about 45 degrees, cutting it downward while sending the foot forward, and then withdrawing the foot and retreating after reaching a certain point. The point of Zanluo will be somewhat different depending on the genre. Some fell to the chest and abdomen, and some slashed to the end, showing no mercy. The basic purpose is to practice arm strength, master power, exercise endurance, and the most important thing is mastery. So vibration is a process of receiving and exerting force, and stable force retraction is more laborious than stable force generating. And this is also the biggest difficulty and point of Sohen's practice. Because, it is impossible to guarantee that every sword will hit people. After a sword is cut in the air, he is not used to taking it back. When the opponent counterattacks, he is directly counter-killed. To explain in game terms, Sohen practice can cancel the back shake of skills, better change moves and combos, and minimize flaws. The more Gu Yuna explained, the more shocked Muye became. He didn't expect a small Suizhen to contain so many great truths. After understanding the principle, Muye no longer despised Suizhen's practice in his heart. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30. Ma Qina tries his best to do his best, but it's easier said than done. In the process of swinging the sword, either the arm swayed, or the landing point was not well controlled, and sometimes it even slashed directly. With the increase in the number of Sojin's practice, his arms also became tired. But Ma Qina's heart was not impatient, and he kept finding feelings from practice. Gina quietly stood aside, deliberately not saying any hints. Sohen's practice is very simple, as long as you are not a fool, you can always get the hang of it. But Sojin is a test of perseverance. Although the bamboo knife is not heavy, most of it is no problem to swing it 3 to 5 times, but it will be more and more difficult to swing it continuously for 40 to 50 times, or even hundreds of times. Because people get tired. However, Gina soon became surprised, and looked at Ma Qina with admiration. She could tell that Ma Qina was the first to come into contact with Kendo. As the daughter of Cao's hero, she grew up in a dojo and has seen too many newbies. Most of the novices' mentality is Kendo is so cool, I want to practice, as long as I practice, I will quickly become very powerful. Why do you still practice the basics after practicing for so long? Does the master dislike me and suppress me on purpose? For the uninitiated, Kendo always has a mysterious charm. But after the real contact, the novice will find that practicing swords is completely different from what they imagined. Not only is it not cool, but it is also boring, tiring, and cumbersome until something is truly accomplished. Many children in the village gave up after a few days of practice in the dojo. This is... Gu Yuna looked at Muye, a little stunned in her beautiful eyes. Is it possible to devote yourself fully to practicing Sohen? Shouldn't this kind of state appear to those who practice Kendo for the first time, right? This new little junior brother may be a little unusual. What Gina didn't know was that at this time, Ma Qina's system was in such a state. You have performed the Sohen practice with full attention, and you will be rewarded with 50 energy points. You did the Sohen practice with full attention. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com will reward you with 50 energy points. You have performed the Sohen practice with full attention, and you will be rewarded with 50 energy points. Okay. Let's start with today's practice. You are still a novice, so don't over-exercise for the first time, or you won't be able to lift your arms tomorrow. Yes, thank you, sister, for your guidance. Ma Qina wiped the sweat on his face and showed a bright smile. Seeing the smile on Ma Qina's face, Gina was slightly surprised, but didn't say anything. In her heart, she already regarded Muye as a weirdo. Because Makina's performance is different from that of most kendo beginners. The first time I practiced, I gave myself all my heart and didn't say anything. Even when I did 500 sohen, I didn't even say a word of tiredness or bitterness. It's so abnormal. After walking a few steps, Gina turned around speechlessly. What are you doing with me? Mue, it's getting late. I should be preparing dinner. I'm going to help in the kitchen. Gina was stunned. Go to the kitchen to help? Are you a boy? Makina was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized. Kao's hero was born in Wano country, not only conservative, but also very patriarchal. Although he didn't say much, his usual words and deeds still affect the people around him all the time. Among them, the one who was most affected was Gina. I'm just going to the kitchen to help. This is what I agreed with the master before entering the dojo. It's up to you. After Gina finished speaking, she turned her head and walked towards the kitchen. To be honest, she was not at peace in her heart. A boy came into the kitchen to help cook. It's too embarrassing. Except for Zoro, all the disciples of Yuxin Dojo were crooked, and none of them could fight. They thought Kao's hero lived in seclusion, and the dojo was very pheasant. Actually, not so. First, each disciple of the dojo has a special uniform, and the etiquette and regulations are very formal. This is not something that a small dojo can do. Second, the dojo has hired several instructors. If there are not enough disciples, there is no need to hire so many instructors. Third, Kao's hero has always been deeply regretful that Gina is a girl. The most fundamental reason is that there is no successor, and no one can inherit his dojo. Obviously, Kao's hero cares a lot about this dojo. After he really lived in the dojo, Makina had a clearer understanding of the strength of the dojo. The dojo not only has a dojo, but also has farms, and there are many people who help in the kitchen. Gina also cooks, but basically she only prepares Kao's hero. Learning to cook and being filial is more symbolic than practical. He's really a conservative parent. Makina shook his head and refused to comment. Anyway, he definitely won't be here for too long. Looking at the number of energy droplets in the system, Mue was once again surprised that the total amount of energy had reached an astonishing 94,320. You know, this is just the first day of practicing kendo. Do you want to pour the energy droplets on the Dao Kendo seeds? As long as these more than 90,000 energy droplets are poured onto the kendo seeds, the tree species will definitely sprout, and maybe even grow into small saplings. At that time, his kendo level definitely improved by leaps and bounds. After thinking about it, Makina finally chose to give up. His personality is the kendo zyobai, and the kendo has advanced by leaps and bounds overnight. This is a very collapse behavior. He can be a genius to the level that his master appreciates, but he must not be able to show his master's suspicion. Anyway, the energy water droplets are placed here, and they will not disappear for no reason. When he wants to water, he can also increase the skill level at any time. When it's time to gossip, keep going. System, help me water all the energy droplets onto the physique tree. Yes, master. Soon, more than 90,000 energy water droplets were all poured onto the physique tree, and the physique tree grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few seconds, it grew from a young bud to a small sapling as high as chopsticks. This feeling of getting stronger is so obvious, Makina can clearly feel that he seems to have endless strength. The most important thing is that all the fatigue from his practice and work today has been swept away. The body and mind are indescribably refreshing, and the whole person is like taking a hot spring bath. Physical LV2. Level, weak. Weak, ordinary, extraordinary, steel, holy, indestructible. The physique has been enhanced so much, but it was only upgraded to LV2? He obviously felt so much stronger. What is too much is that the evaluation is still weak. Inexhaustible strength is caused by metamorphosis in a very short period of time, and the growth is not as exaggerated as the owner imagined. It is not too much to evaluate it as weak. At the current level of the master, if he is slashed with a knife, it will take at least a month to recover. All right. Indeed, weak. The road is long, and the road to becoming stronger has just begun. Sleep. Just when Makina was going to sleep, the skill concentration was activated, and within a minute or so, Makina fell asleep completely. What Makina didn't know was that at this moment, his tree planting system would produce a string of numbers almost every quarter of an hour. Sharpen the knife without accidentally chopping wood. You entered the sleep mode in time, and rewarded 100 energy points. Sharpen the knife without accidentally chopping wood. You entered the sleep mode in time, and rewarded 100 energy points. When he woke up early the next day, Makina seemed to be dormant all winter, and his mental state was unimaginable. Early morning is the time for the disciples in the dojo to exercise, and the main method is running. Through running, Makina suddenly discovered that his physique was really weak. The little kids in the dojo who looked extremely inconspicuous ran very fast. His physique was upgraded to LV2, but he was only able to keep up with their pace. Anyone who has read the original book knows that these little brats who don't even have a name are basically used to set off Sauron's freaks. Thinking that Zoro can run faster than these little brats with a person on his back, Makina immediately intuitively felt the gap between him and these freaks. What Mue didn't know was that just when he was amazed at the amazing physical strength of these little brats, his performance completely surprised these children. You must know that the time for them to worship in the dojo is not too short. I don't know how long they have been practicing, and it's only the second day after Mue worshipped in the dojo. After breakfast, it was time for Gina to guide Makina Oneo Nun. Gina, make 500 sohens first and let me see. Yes. Without any hesitation, Makina immediately started sohen practice. Gina couldn't help but glance at Makina. Anyone who has done strenuous exercise knows that after strenuous exercise, the body will produce a lot of lactic acid, which will make legs and arms extremely sore. In this case, it would be much more difficult to continue the sohen practice on the first day. Of course, the bigger difficulty is psychological. Mue is not only obedient, but also silent, not even sohen's movements are compromised. What's going on? What surprised Gina even more was that today, Makina did 500 sohen, which seemed to be easy. Easy? How is this possible? The improvement of physical strength is a gradual process, and it does not mean that improvement can be improved. Could this be the power of the heart that Father said? Such a thirst for power. Could it be that this junior brother Mue bears a feud? Thinking of this, Gina's eyes at Makina softened a few points. That's right, your sohen is very standard, you reading www.yuyuganshu.com, but that doesn't mean that you have mastered it completely, and you don't need to do sohen practice in the future. Sohen is something that lasts a lifetime. It's not enough to remember with your brain, you have to remember with your body. Yes. Makina nodded, wanting to laugh a little, but forcibly held back. Guyuna is obviously very young, so she pretends to be a little adult, which is inexplicably cute. However, Makina understood that Gina's teaching was right. After studying Suojen, he began to understand the purpose of Suoda's exercise on the boat. However, different from ordinary people, Suoda practiced sohen, which is to use the barbell as the hilt of the sword and string several dumbbells. On the Golden Mary, it's every day. On the boat, Sanji was cooking, Nami Robin was reading the newspaper leisurely, and Luffy was playing with Usopp Chopper. In a sense, Suoda's talent may not be comparable to Luffy's. Suoda is a genius and hard-working type, while Luffy is a genius brain type. Tomorrow, Sojin's practice will increase to 1,000. Yes. Gina frowned slightly, but there was no objection. Really desperately thirsting for power. Gina, then today, I'll start teaching you some basic constructions of one-hearted swordsmanship. Hearing Gina's words, Mue's eyes suddenly lit up. Go is a Japanese term for kendo, also known as type. In the terminology of traditional Chinese martial arts, it is shelf. Makina didn't expect that the day after he entered the dojo, he actually started to learn shelf. This is really a surprise. You have received Gina's approval and started to learn kendo. You will be rewarded with 20,000 energy points. One-hearted dojo. Gina sat upright on her knees, looking straight. Makina sighed that the words and deeds of the parents are really powerful, and Gina can see good upbringing in every move. Although Mue is not used to sitting on his knees, he still understands the point of doing as the locals do. However, to Makina's slight surprise, Gina's bamboo sword was actually placed on the right side. Makina didn't understand, but since Gina did it, he also chose to follow suit. Gina nodded, observation is good, do you know why the bamboo sword is placed on the right side? People are generally right-handed, and when they put the bamboo sword in their left hand, they can draw the sword as soon as possible. Since it violates the principle of drawing the sword at the first time, it may be a gesture of goodwill. Makina immediately thought of the United Nations sculpture representing peace, with the barrel of the gun tied in a knot. Hearing Makina's speculation, Gina was a little bit angry at the same time as she was surprised. She was going to give Mue a good lesson, but after a long time of brewing, she didn't have to talk about it at all. The analysis is good. The sword is placed in the left hand to facilitate drawing the sword at the first time. But in the right hand, it represents goodwill. Makina showed a smile, as expected of him, the head melon is really useful. Seeing the smile on Makina's face, Gina was even more angry. I remember, it's too early for you to learn kendo. I'll teach you another training program today. Hey? Mue was stunned, did he do anything wrong? A woman's mouth, a liar. Didn't you mean to teach him kendo? Small courtyard. Gina led Mue to a small tree wrapped in white ropes and said, the practice to do today is to hit the tree. Hit a tree. Makina was a little puzzled, what's so good about this? Although he had also seen Zoro slashing trees frantically when he was a child, he actually felt quite silly. In addition, his current status is that of a tree planter, so ruthless tree smashing, why does it feel very inconsistent? Kuina said coolly, the feeling of slicing the air is different from hitting the real thing. The stronger your slashing is, the stronger the counter shock will be, which will cause certain damage to the opponent. In this process, at the same time as you practice arm strength, you also practice your chopping strength and your hand's ability to withstand the shock force. The sword is an extension of the body. Another purpose of this exercise is to practice the control of the body, so as to ensure that you can cut every sword to the position you want to cut. Makina suddenly realized that this seemingly foolish exercise was very necessary. Practice hacking 10,000 times. Makina was surprised, 10,000 times. Gina was serious, is there a problem? No problem. Then let's start. Yes. Seeing that Makina adjusted his posture and began to practice cutting trees, Gina gave a faint smile. Makina felt a little strange to Gina, but it was actually quite fresh. In Makina, she really found the joy of being a teacher for the first time. Instead of before, why did you teach me, you're still a little girl, it wasn't Master Chao's hero who taught me yourself. Makina's respect for Gina makes Gina very useful. Today, she casually proposed to teach the pastoral kendo structure, which seems to be an unintentional move, but in fact she still prepared lessons last night. After all, there is still a big difference between actual operation and theory. This is like a driver, an old driver who has been driving for many years. If you ask him to explain the knowledge points of the driving test in a straightforward manner, it is estimated that he will be blinded. But what Gina never expected was that she was ready to talk about knowledge points, but Mue actually understood herself, making all her preparations in vain. Stupid. After starting the practice of splitting trees, Makina gradually felt the meaning of this practice. The noose tied to the tree is not too big, and it is indeed not as easy as imagined to accurately cut it on the noose. With a heavy sword swing, it is very likely that it will be directly slashed. It was like shooting a target, with 10 rings of confidence, but at first glance, he missed the target. Moreover, the position of the noose is also more elegant, just in proportion to Makina's height, which ensures that every time he swings his sword, he can practice his arm strength well. However, Makina's passive skill concentration is no joke. After he slashed seriously a dozen times, he entered a state of full concentration. Then, every time he chops, it is exceptionally standard, and every time he chops it down to the noose. Later, it was even so harsh that almost every cut fell on the same rope loop. Gina was completely stunned. In her heart, she even felt a little terrified. To be honest, seeing Makina who was engrossed in his practice of splitting trees, Gina received an unprecedented shock. Her hands couldn't even help trembling. "Is this a boy? Gina, if only you were a boy." Although my father never uttered similar words in person, Gina felt the occasional sigh. To be honest, Gina is very uncomfortable, but more is not convinced. In the entire dojo, none of those boys could beat her, and even the very powerful teacher Zoji was beaten down by her. But at this time, she was a little frightened. No matter what practice you do, can you get into the state very quickly? Is this a real boy? So horrible. If she taught Muye Kendo, Muye would soon surpass her. If you don't teach me, blah blah blah, is this still her? How could she have such a despicable and shameless idea? Makina, who was engrossed in his chopping practice, didn't notice the complicated look in Gina's eyes at him. Seeing Makina's devotion, Gina took a deep breath, silently picked up the bamboo knife, and ran to the back mountain alone. Chop. Receive. Chop. Receive. Gina was doing the Sohen exercises over and over again, with unprecedented seriousness. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Soon, Gina's clothes were soaked with sweat, and a smile appeared on her face. Exactly. Muye is very talented and works hard in cultivation, so she should be more serious and work harder. She must prove to her father that what a boy can do, a girl can also. Inside the dojo, a smile appeared on Zoji's face. Recently, everyone has been working hard in cultivation. As a teacher, there is nothing more inspiring than seeing the hard work of the students. Kao's hero also smiled, feeling very happy. Probably inspired by Makina, this kid has a very unusual talent. Zoji nodded heavily. I have seen his cultivation. No matter what he does, he can be completely immersed in it in an instant. It's too exaggerated. According to his cultivation method, he cultivates for a year and surpasses others for several years. Good seedling, really a good seedling. Kao's hero smiled and couldn't help pushing his glasses with his hand. After running the dojo for so long, he has never been able to find a disciple he likes, but in Muye, he saw this possibility. Zoji said with a smile, I'm excited. Do you plan to accept apprentices? The owner of the museum. Kao's hero, it's really exciting, but for the time being, let Gina teach him first. He has to sharpen his temperament. The Teragawa incident can't happen again. Hearing Kao's hero mentioning Teragawa, Zuosuk didn't say anything. It can be said that Teragawa is the person Kao's hero does not want to mention the most. It is a shame for the dojo. What Makina, who was engrossed in the practice of chopping trees, didn't know that because he was approved by Zuosuk and Kao's hero, his energy points skyrocketed. When a person devotes himself to something, he may not even notice the passage of time. When Wei finished 10,000 slashing movements, he collapsed and lay directly on the ground, gasping for breath. He was so tired, he even had the urge to lie down on the ground and sleep soundly. And the children in the dojo were all frightened. Because Makina practiced chopping and chopping, it was really crazy. He practiced directly from morning to noon, and even missed lunch. Let them feel a tingling scalp just thinking about it. Of course, there is a deep sense of incomprehension. Do you just practice swordsmanship when you practice swordsmanship? When the instructor shouts slogans, they practice, and if they don't shout, they stop. How can they practice until they forget to eat? What's even more strange is that when someone was going to call Makina, he was stopped by Master Cao's hero. However, just as they were about to do something, they saw Gina walking over with a food box. A few little brats immediately dispersed. To Gina, to be honest, they were a little scared. It is true that Gina is too strong in kendo, and she is too serious. Every time they compete in kendo, it is like being beaten by Gina in disguise. It's okay once, but beaten every time. For these children, Kuina is simply more terrifying than Master Cao's hero. Get up, you just used up too much energy, so just lying down like this is very bad for your body. Makina opened his eyes, just to see Gina's upside-down face and the food box she was carrying. Makina was surprised. Is it time to eat? When I saw the sun above my head, I couldn't help but be surprised. The effect of the skill concentration is a bit perverted. He wanted to complete 10,000 standard slashes with all his heart, but he even forgot the time. Gollum! Gollum! It's just that he didn't notice it. As soon as he smelled the aroma of the food, Makina's stomach suddenly growled. But because of the excessive exercise, Makina has no appetite at all. Get up quickly, you can't lie down lazily at this time no matter what. You long for strength, is your determination over? Seeing Gina's sullen face and serious look, Makina was slightly surprised. It is true that he desires strength, but why does it involve determination? Moreover, there seems to be something wrong with the tone of Gina talking to him. How does Makina know that because of the influence of his skill concentration, in Gina's eyes, he has become the kind of avenger who bears a vengeance and can even give up his life in order to become stronger? I have to say, this is a big oolong. In addition, Gina felt sorry for Makina in her heart. In the morning, she had a little resentment towards Mui because she worked so hard to prepare the lesson and failed to speak it out, and then she made a prank to make Mui split 10,000 trees. But what she didn't expect was that Mui actually made 10,000 hacks meticulously, and even forgot to eat lunch. Tai Han in. After strenuous exercise, you can't lie down immediately. Of course Mui understands the truth, but people are lazy. However, since Gina said so, of course he couldn't lie down so ugly. How can a man say no? Makina immediately resisted the swelling and pain in his hands and feet, and stood up slowly. Take a slow walk, take a deep breath. Makina started doing relaxation exercises according to the method he learned at school. Soon, Makina's heartbeat slowly returned to normal, and his breathing began to stabilize. This made Mui have to be amazed. Compared with him who used to salt fish, his physique has really improved a lot. Great! Seeing Makina's movements, Gina couldn't help but be a little curious. This set of relief movements was completely different from the ones taught by the dojo. However, it seems to be really useful. Did his father teach him? However, now is not the time to think about it, Gina said, let's eat first. Thank you, senior sister, for your hard work. It's nothing, just follow the orders of your father. Makina nodded and said nothing more. At the moment when the food box was opened, the aroma came out, Makina instinctively took a deep breath, and suddenly felt a great satisfaction. The rice was kneaded into rice balls, and the dishes were a small fish fried to golden brown, pickled red-hot and sour radishes, and miso soup. This meal is not only exquisite, but also very appetizing, just a little less. It was made by senior sister herself? Arigato. Gina, I think too much. I only cook for my father. That's it. Makina dragged the long tail, regretful. Gina is a little annoyed, what do you mean? Do you just want to eat her cooking? She is senior sister, she didn't even ask Muye to cook for her. If she knew earlier, she would bring some leftovers at will. Ma Qina took a sip of the soup and immediately frowned, looking unbearable. Dina was curious, what's wrong? Ma Qina shook his head, looking like he was fine, but what about his face? What happened? It's so salty. Dina, impossible. After I made it, I even tasted it. Dina was halfway through speaking, when she just saw Muye's half-smiling face. Okay, how dare you lie to me, I won't give you such a salty meal if I feed it to the dog. Sister, I was wrong. Ma Qina grabbed the rice ball in one hand, bit the small fish in the other, and ran away with the miso soup in the other. Dina was stunned, where does this look like an Avenger with a feud? It's just a big rogue. I have to say that Ma Qina's deception this time made Dina a little angry, but the anger disappeared in an instant. Not only that, but invisibly narrowed the distance between the two. For Dina, Ma Qina was the first to dare to lie to her. It's much better than those little kids in the dojo who see her like a flood of beasts every time. Perhaps because of too many brain supplements, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Guyuna taught Ma Qina swordsmanship very carefully. Dina, there are many schools of kendo. We are one-hearted and inclusive. There are professors in the one-word style and the second knife style. Today, I mainly teach Udaoliu swordsmanship. The core concept of Udaoliu is kill the enemy with one knife, and pay attention to cut down the enemy before the enemy cuts me down. Therefore, the most important thing about our Yuxin Liu technique is the union of heart and sword. Simply put, as long as you confirm that it is the enemy, no matter how powerful the enemy is, you must be unafraid and unrelenting, and be dedicated to killing the opponent. Even if it is defense, the purpose is to counterattack. Hearing Dina explaining the concept of Yuxin Liu, Ma Qina couldn't help thinking of Suoda's famous saying, being hurt in the back is the shame of a swordsman. Thinking about all the battles of Suoda, except for Luffy's escape on Chambord Island, Suo Long has never flinched. Even if he was half killed by Hawkeye's sword, facing the evil dragon pirates, Soran would just draw his sword and do it. In the terrorist bark sails, in order to save Luffy, he suffered all the pain that the Shishibu sea bear popped out of Luffy's body. When someone asked, his answer was only nothing happened. Chambord, facing the pacifists and the General Kizaru, the severely injured Soran is still one word, do it. As long as it is confirmed that it is an enemy, no matter how powerful it is, there is only the idea of killing the opponent in my mind. Is this a flow of heart? To be honest, it's really inexplicably cool. Seeing the flames burning in Ma Qina's eyes, Dina couldn't help but smile. As expected of an Avenger. However, she wants to become a great swordsman that her father will admit, so let's see who is more powerful.